Guys, welcome to tonight's short video. We're going to talk briefly about planes of division when we're talking about anatomy, as well as some of the major organ systems in the human body that we'll be studying this year. Alright, so first are planes. The three main planes that we're going to be talking about this year are going to be the frontal, sagittal, and transverse planes. Now, these are planes of division. And we talk about these if we want to talk about, getting cross sections or looking at an organism from a different perspective than we already normally see it. So the frontal plane, this first one, it's a little hard to draw, part of my drawing, is a longitudinal plane, sort of in line with the ears. So if I were to cut a line, let's see, start it straight through my head right here and go down through my ears like that, and you'll see a little bit better on the sheets that I gave you to follow along with. It's going to divide the body into anterior and posterior sections. So it would divide me into my front section and to my posterior section. And we can also call sections along this plane longitudinal or coronal. Next up we have our sagittal plane. Now our sagittal plane is basically going to cut the body right down the midline. It's again another longitudinal plane, and it's going to be perpendicular to the ears. So imagine if we had a plane going right through the midline. It's going to divide the body into right and left portions, and then sections along this plane are going to be called longitudinal or sagittal. Now sometimes we'll talk about the mid-sagittal section. That's going to be cutting the body down the midline as well. Finally, let's talk about the transverse plane. If we ever talk about cross sections or getting cross sections from an organism or parts of an organism, that's going to be along a transverse plane. It's going to divide the body or the body part into upper and lower segments, also called a horizontal plane. So for example, if we had this organism, we cut here in a horizontal way, we would be able to see a cross section of this organism's leg or appendage or whatever it is, also called transverse sections. So that's about it for our planes of reference right now. Be sure to follow along on the sheet and the illustrations that are much better than what I've provided with you here. Alright, hey guys, so now we're going to talk about some of the major organ systems that we're going to study throughout the year, especially the ones that you'll hit within your assessments. So the 5 big ones that are in the power focus areas are going to be circulatory, digestive, musculoskeletal, nervous system, and of course our reproductive system. So really quickly, our circulatory system involves our heart and our blood vessels. We can also study within this circulatory area the cardiovascular system, and the overall purpose of the system is transport. Next up we have our digestive system, which includes the mouth, esophagus, stomach, intestines, liver, and pancreas. And of course the purpose of this system is going to be for us to extract the nutrients we need from the food that we consume so that we can get the energy and supplies that we need for our body. Next up we have our musculoskeletal system, which in turn is really going to be used for movement. This includes our bones, ligaments, joints, and of course our different types of muscle. Next up we're going to have our nervous system, which includes our brain, all of our nerves, our neurons, our ganglia, and this system is used for communication. And finally our reproductive system includes the external sex organs, any gonads, other sex organs within the body, and it's going to be used to reproduce, so to create offspring for the organism. Alright, that's it for the systems we'll be studying this year. Enjoy!